What's up, YouTube? This is Strident, and I'm back like I left something. Yeah, this is gonna be a quick rant. I'm gonna do a little bit more in-depth review this weekend, but stay tuned for that. But I just couldn't hold it in. All right, so everybody knows I'm a DC fan. I'm not a fanboy in the sense that I'll just blindly eat up anything served to me with a DC, with a side of DC on it. Because, there's some bad DC movies. Superman 3, really bad. What else? Superman Returns, really fucking bad. Really fucking bad. The first Swamp Thing movie, really bad. And I could go on. But, they've been getting better. On Father's Day, my son, my girl, my brother, and we all went to go see the Green Lantern. And I just don't understand how they fucked this up. Earlier I posted a little question where I was asking if you guys thought it was cool for the studios to take all the personality and all of the individuality as far as powers go, and even some of the look of other characters to make Hal Jordan more interesting. The little bit I do know about Hal Jordan, I know that they tried to glaze over his origin and his personality to make him seem like this likable person, when he's supposed to be kind of likable, but there are aspects of his personality that just aren't the best. I mean, dude is a man whore, and they completely erased that in this story. Anyway, the Green Lantern, everybody knows by now what the Green Lantern is. You see, the critics have been having a field day with this fucking movie because it's as if they tried to cram all his history and shit on his history all at the same time. Now, I say cram and shit on his history because they put 3 storylines in this, all simultaneously, going on. Instead of having the first movie deal with one villain, they gave you Parallax and Hector Hammond. Instead of taking a cue from First Flight and giving you more of the fish out of water story that actually is the Green Lantern and is Hal Jordan, where you have a human being that's just pulled into this world, or several worlds actually, becoming a space cop pretty much, interplanetary police officer, going to all these strange worlds, learning all this information like at the drop of a hat, and then actually having to apply what he learned like immediately. That shit it would be nerve-wracking, And First Flight, the animated film from Warner Brothers, was awesome, and it gave you that feeling. Also, it focused on probably the best portion of the earlier part of Hal Jordan's his origin, and that was being trained by Sinestro and ultimately having to go up against him. That would have made a far better movie than the bullshit that we got here. The other day I watched Emerald Knights, and it was the same deal. Emerald Knights is superior. Why is it that these fucking Hollywood directors and writers, I heard Jeff Johns had something to do with writing this shit. What the fuck were you doing? I sound harsh, but I don't understand how people are paid to do this for a living, and they fuck it up every time. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to understand that you can't keep making comic book movies for people who do not read comics. If it is, as I stated, and as we call this genre, comic book movie, then you should take the exact information off the comic pages with minimal tweaks. Some shit is really stupid, and it makes sense for them to change it for us to believe it. But they changed so much. Sinestro was just... He was probably my favorite person in the movie, but his stance and his portrayal was kind of off. Kilowog, he's humongous, so he has to be voiced by a big black guy. I mean, what the fuck? You know, Michael Madsen would have been the perfect voice. They should just kept that so they keep these things consistent. The Green Lantern Corps in general, they were like a guest star in Hal Jordan's movie when he's actually like a guest star in their movie. The Green Lantern Corps is bigger than the one guy. The movie only happens to focus on the one guy. He should have been fighting alongside the Corps. No, you get to see the Corps pretty much show up and get ate up like Space Marines and Aliens. And they didn't even show up for as long as some of the Space Marines and Aliens did. It just was poorly executed on so many levels. The love interest. Usually a hero actually has to fight for the girl. That's usually one of the small conflicts in a movie with you know, superheroes or heroes in general. Not in this movie. Somehow, because he's Hal Jordan and because it's Ryan Reynolds and because it's Blake Lively and they wanted to hit every demographic possible, they just made them already have this romance going on. All of us who read the books, we know that that's a complicated relationship right there. I'm not even a fan of Green Lantern and I know this shit. It just, I don't know. They tried to make it a comedy, and it had all the tropes of a lame ass like superhero comedy. I mean, dude had the nerdy best friend, then he had the hot girl, then he had the girl's father, and then he had the sniveling co-worker, or I don't know what you would call him, because I think he did help design things at Ferris Aircrafts, but Hector Hammond was like this sniveling, jealous nerd who in the end becomes the villain. Well, kind of the villain. He becomes a villain. Yeah, spoiler alert, you know. Not that you need it, because none of you guys need to go see this movie. I'm trying to do you a favor by letting you know how lame this movie is. And then to top it all off, Hal beats fucking Parallax by punching him in his face and burning him up in the sun. What the fuck? Like, the last time I checked, Parallax was something that was really difficult for them to deal with. And this is the first thing you make Hal Jordan deal with? Why is it the movies always try to over-sensationalize shit that's already epic or sensational? It's a comic book. Comics are like some of the most epic stories that you can possibly come across. And a lot of the space dramas that coming from, you know, comics, people keep saying it's a sci-fi movie. Nah, it's kind of sci-fi. It's straight up space opera, 100%. There's lots of sci-fi elements, but the ring is not necessarily science. It's more, I don't know, if you want to call it magical, you can call it magical. If you want to call it ethereal, you can call it ethereal. It's otherworldly, and they don't really explain how it does what it does. It's just a mystical ring that these mystical guardians created for these peacekeeping officers that they use to police the universe. That's as far as the detail goes, unless you go and read books where they detail all that shit. This would have been a perfect time to detail all that stuff in the movie and explain it to us. That's why it needed to be a movie that took place with Hal Jordan joining the Corps, fighting alongside members of the Corps. Not Hal Jordan defending Earth of all places from Parallax. Why would Parallax give a shit about Earth when the Owens were the ones that did what, or they trapped him? The Owens had Abensur trap him. Yeah, I mean, this, like I said, this isn't a review as much as it is a rant. It just the movie was dumb. Parallax looked kind of cool. It scared my son, which was kind of funny. Another friend of mine went and saw it, and he said, yo, he was like, Parallax was kind of lightweight, scary looking. I'm like, yeah, I know, some shit like that was chasing me, I'd probably shit myself. Actually, there were a lot of instances in this movie that I probably would have shit myself in real life. But, you know, the movie just, it's like it just didn't know what it wanted to be. It didn't know if it wanted to be a comedy, didn't know if it wanted to be an action film, didn't know if it wanted to be pure sci-fi, didn't know if it wanted to be a space opera. Like, all the scenes that you see of Oa that are fucking gorgeous, that's like 5 minutes of the movie. I was like, what? Like, are you they thought that Earth dealing with fucking Carol Ferris and Hal Jordan, their weak ass relationship, was more interesting than Oa. I don't understand how this shit is happening still in this day and age. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't get it. The flip side, this is the only good things I can say graphically. You know, visually, this movie is amazing. Some of the special effects. Wow, I almost say graphics. Wow. Some of the special effects, the character costume designs, the constructs, everything was designed. It's top notch design. Everything is well thought out as far as the look and feel of, you know, the world that these cats live in and inhabit. But I mean, the suit had so many layers of complexity to it. It was ridiculous. And I didn't even see it in 3D, which I wouldn't recommend, because I heard it was converted, and almost every time I've seen a converted 3D movie, it's the same thing. There'll be 2 shots, maybe 2 scenes that are, you know, that utilize the 3D just so they can say, yes, we did do something with the 3D, and then the rest of the movie is like, Now, as awesome as the designs were and as awesome as the majority of the special effects were, there were scenes where it was like, what the fuck? Who did this? The scene where Hal Jordan first flies with Tomar-Ray. What the fuck? It turns from pure CG to the CG body with this floating head in front of it. There's a part where they're flying towards the camera, and his head looks like this washed out bullshit post-production, like work in progress head floating, not even in proper proportion with the body, the CG body that he has. What the fuck? You know, there are people out there that would do this shit for free and they would do a better job. You know, it's just sad. It's really sad. I don't know. I had to get some of this out because I was like, man. Oh, and then to top it all off, they changed a lot of things that didn't need to be changed. You know, they were like to combat fear. A character that was consumed by fear and using it as a weapon, Sinestro convinces the Guardians to do the same exact thing. Are you fucking kidding me? That's not what happened at all. So after everything is done and you watch the movie, Sinestro gives Hal Jordan props. And that's the other thing. You know how in the commercial he's asking them, help me save my world? They're like, yeah, nah. You got to figure it out for yourself. What the fuck? The whole movie they spend talking about, they spend all this time talking about how Parallax, and he was this big enemy that so many Lantern, as Sinestro would say, his Lantern brothers. So many of my Lantern brothers fell before this threat. And then the motherfucker has an opportunity to fight him, and he punks out. He's like, yeah, nah, you can deal with it yourself. Go ahead, white guy, do it. Because, you know, white people are invincible in Hollywood films. And then, like, you just watch this really strange kind of battle. It's weird. Like, action in the movie was kind of good, but, like, it was so few and far in between that, like, you only got a glimpse of things. I don't know. But anyway, let me get to the point I wanted to make. And, you know, I'll get into this in more detail. They have the nerve to jump into the Sinestro Corps at the end of this movie for no reason. It was like they thought that if they did these things so that when they make a trailer they could appease the fanboys. When you watch the movie, you're like, wow, that clearly had no credence and no reason to be done at all in any way, shape, or form. This movie was trash. It's cool to see, you know, visually, to see some of these characters, like freaking Sinestro, Tomar-Ray. They looked like exactly like their comic book counterparts. Like, Tomar-Ray looked better because, I mean, they didn't just give him a generic human body and that chicken fish head. But Sinestro, oh my god, that design, whoever did that shit needs an award. They need a round of applause because that shit was amazing. Kilowog was pretty cool too. I just didn't like Michael Clark Duncan as his voice. It just didn't feel gruff enough, and it felt too, I don't know, stereotypical to me for Hollywood. Because, you know, they always do that. The big, muscular dude, got to be some big black guy, you know? Shit, if they had used Terry Crews, I would have been even more happy. I would have been happier. I don't know. Anyway, that's my feelings on this. And you remember way back when when we did, me and Agent O did that review, or our thoughts on the trailers for all these movies around Super Bowl season. What did I say specifically about Green Lantern? And I'm gonna repeat this too later, but this movie, ugh, man. Anyway, I'm out. I'm just getting this off my chest real quick because I couldn't shut up about it. I was trying to hold this in till the weekend, but yeah. Don't, if you can, save the money. You know, go out and buy a porno. Go out and buy some comics. Actually, you know, buy First Flight and Emerald Knights. Don't buy this shit. This movie's horrible. Or don't pay to see this shit. Download it or something, you know? Yes, I said download it. I don't care if it's illegal. Don't pay money for it. Get a bootleg. If you're gonna pay money, pay $5 and get a fucking bootleg. Alright, anyway. I'm Strident and I am out. I will see you this weekend. Peace.